Welcome to the Spa Girls podcast, the self-publishing podcast for authors. You're in the right place for the best writing, marketing, and publishing advice, plus interviews with industry experts and best-selling authors. I'm Cheryl Phipps.
I'm Shah Barrett.
I'm Wendy Vella.
And I'm Trudy J. And you've got the Spa Girls today.
Yeah, just us.
All of us.
It's not
Been
just
a
us.
while.
It's, oh my God, it's us. Yay.
Shock horror.
Unfiltered and unvarnished.
Oh dear God, what have you let yourself in for? So today we had a few questions in the group, and one of them was regarding trends and what trends are working and which ones are worth our time and which ones are not worth our time. And as we don't have crystal balls and
What?
no, right?
Why don't you know?
We thought we'd talk about trends in a way that might be useful, but we can't guarantee that you're going to be able to jump on a trend and it's going to work for you. And yeah,
Well, we don't know what's coming, do we?
no one knows what's coming,
No one knows.
And it depends what you write. It depends
Yeah.
on so many factors.
and how fast you can write. I mean, I always remember Stephanie Holmes talking about how she saw a trend. It was reverse harem when it first came out, but she was a fast enough writer to be able to, first of all, she was smart enough to be looking in the groups and she spotted that trend early, then being able to write fast enough to be able to jump on the, like there's all these kind of factors that you have to do.
Yeah.
And also she understood what the readers were wanting from that trend,
she
which I
understood
think
the
is really
trend.
key because she was already in the reader group.
Yeah, and she was, so all of those things. So I don't think you can categorically say that this one trend is going to work for every single person because we don't all write the same, we don't all have the same genres, we don't all have the same things. So
And you're building a career too.
And also trend can be applied to so many factors, can't it? We
Yeah.
were discussing this earlier, and it's not just one thing, is it?
Yeah, it could be like social media trend, it could be a trope trend, it could be blurb trends, it could be
cover trends, marketing trends,
technology trends, all sorts
And
of
in
things.
this game, it's an ever-changing trend all the time.
Anyone
There's
heard of
something evolving.
MySpace?
Yeah.
Which
No,
used to be
what's
uber
that?
popular, right? Like,
I remember Tumblr. I remember AOL, not that I was ever on AOL, clearly, because it's American, but I remember, the different forums online, it was just, it was simple days.
Keyboards, remember that?
Yeah.
Oh my
It's
God.
still going.
Keyboards are still around, yeah.
I know, but who uses it? Does anyone still use it?
No. A few crusty old people, but no.
My grandkids were talking the other day about traveling, and I was trying to explain to them we did it with a map book. And they were like, "What? Why didn't you just put it into Google Maps, Nan?" I'm like, "Well,
Yeah.
it wasn't around. We didn't have a cell phone, buddy."
I tell you what, we can read a street map. It's a skill, a lost skill.
So anyway, proof positive that trends are always coming and going and things change, and we need to be able to figure out how to adapt and work those trends for ourselves. And so people aren't, for example, people don't look for books like they used to, even the browsing. So it's just everything's different. So what we thought we'd do is 5 tips to testing or hashing out new trends. Is that right? Did I get it right?
Yes.
You got it.
So let's start with trend number 1, which is actually a trend that's going on at the moment that we just, but ways that we can kind of think of that you might test that trend. And it's ice hockey, right? Like, I mean, ice hockey books have been popular for a while, but we've got heated rivalry going on at the moment, and that's made them even more popular.
Which the irony is, so heated rivalry books, like the actual paperbacks, are selling out. I literally bought a copy the other day. We can't even get the program here in New Zealand. That's the power of social media coming all the way here. We can't get Crave, which is I think the Canadian cable. Anyway, somebody will correct me, but we haven't got it here yet, unless you've got some super secret way of accessing it. And yet, heated rivalry books are flying off the shelves in little old New Zealand.
Not to mention we just had the Winter Olympics, right?
Ice
hockey.
I mean, another example of that at the moment is the Dungeon Crawler Carl books, and I have been seeing those books all over Instagram for people who are normally romantasy readers. and they're
Uh-huh.
like off to read my first ever sci-fi book, like this kind of stuff
Oh,
going on. And
wow.
because it's this book and I've read it now, I'm on book four, and it's actually quite good. So, but it's lit RPG, right? But all these people who wouldn't normally read lit RPG are now giving it a go because it's become so popular. But anyway, that's a whole nother side. But see, people are
Mm.
learning about it actually on social media is a very good point there that we should make when we're talking about social media down the track.
Yeah.
But back
But
to ice
going back to
hockey.
the ice hockey thing, so if you're running, a science fiction, if you're a science fiction romance author, how do you bring in ice hockey? I don't think you'd necessarily write a whole series called,
Ice
I
hockey
don't know,
monsters.
cyber heated rivalry. I don't know. Yeah. However, I'm thinking maybe you've got an ice planet a la Ruby Dixon or something like that that you can kind of gently bring the two together on social media. I'm not saying change what you write, but maybe there's a way to connect those. You could sort of, on land, this is how humans skate on this planet. This is how these people play, their version of ice hockey. I don't know. I'm just riffing here. But it's
Yeah.
sort of a way of kind of very subtly connecting your work with an established trope or, content, if you
Or something
like.
that's trending right now.
Yeah.
I mean, an easier way to do that would be like, so if different trends happening, like when Bridgerton is out, for example,
Yes.
you get a rise in historical romance, and if you can link your book to, I
Well,
I
you
know an
change your
author,
covers. Change your
yeah,
covers to be floral and
Yeah.
yeah,
That's
it's
flowery
right.
linking
and
it in with it. I
very
know an author who
Bridgerton, you know?
who
Yeah.
Yeah.
accidentally put out a historical book near the launch
Mm.
of one of the Bridgerton seasons, and she saw a massive climb
Mm-hmm.
in her sales of
Yeah.
books that she
Yeah.
wasn't actually expecting because she didn't do it on purpose, but that was just a link that she hadn't made. So
Yeah.
just tropes like that, like ice hockey, you don't have to necessarily start writing ice hockey romance. You
No.
could like find
Uh,
ways to link it in
to
with
lean
something.
into it,
Yeah, to
lean into
Yeah.
lean.
what was, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. But
And I
if you
think
do,
covers is a big deal, actually.
Yeah.
yeah, changing covers to
As,
put an ice hockey player on your sci-fi romance. No, don't do that.
no, don't do
Well,
that.
that's it. I think we tend to get trapped into loving our covers so much we don't want to change them. But
Yeah,
Mm,
but it is
sometimes
just
it's
a
just a little
marketing.
zhuzh up of a cover and it'll make a difference.
Yeah,
yeah,
especially if it's leaning into something that
Mm.
is a trend somehow that's
yeah.
relevant to your genre.
Even a
Um,
logo or something, just something small that can link it up.
So
And
if
if you
you,
actually, I
oh,
was just going to say with the cover thing, when we're talking about the illustrated ones, and the romance ones with the flowers and all that, how, that's definitely a trend.
Mm-hmm.
It's hanging around too.
Yeah.
It's not just come and gone. So that's something that you want to look at as well, that, a trend that is actually holding its own,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think, rather than just popping in here or popping in there to test it.
mm.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean, with covers, it's really easy to test them too. It's like if you see that there are more and more illustrated covers around, which they are, as we've said, try getting an illustrated cover, putting it up, seeing what the difference is, or put it up on
Mm.
social media, test it against two ads
Mm.
with one cover and the other cover, and test
Yeah.
it out. Like that's what
Mm.
authors are doing. I know, testing different covers for when they put their books out to find out which one's more
Yeah.
popular. And it's not always the ones that you like, but the ones that
No.
I
No.
like and think are
Surprising.
awesome are not the
Mm.
covers that people are more attracted to and are more likely to
Yeah.
click on. So
Mm-hmm.
don't
Yeah.
testing it out for any of
Mm.
these trends is always a good option, and social media
Just
is a
Definitely.
good
because
way to
you
do
don't
that.
like it
Yeah,
doesn't mean to say it's not the right move,
yeah,
And I
yeah.
think
unfortunately.
ideally you want to test it with people that aren't already your fans because they'll be biased towards sort
Mm,
of telling you often what you want to hear or just, they're
Mm.
going to be supportive regardless, right?
yeah. I always remember Sky Warren saying that, like, don't test it on your newsletter group. Don't ask your
No.
newsletter group what's your favorite. I mean, it's a nice engagement tool, but don't
Yeah.
go by that as gospel because they will just pick whatever the hell they like. I mean, and it's
Yeah.
got nothing to do with what they'll actually click on. Whereas if you have a Facebook ads test where in A/B testing two different covers, that's, the person who's clicking on that doesn't care about you, the author, and they're not, it's just what they're most
Correct.
attracted to. It's not them
Yeah.
overthinking what they think they would be clicking on. That
And I
makes
do
sense.
think there's a difference too for people, all of us that will say just on an individual basis what we like versus actually what will get our attention can actually be
Yes.
often two different things as
Mm.
well. So
What we
Yeah.
think we would do in a situation is not what we actually do.
people are notoriously unreliable in that respect. Anybody's ever run a consumer
Mm.
groups. Just going back to, for example, the Bridgerton effect, to me, an obvious thing is when you look at the Bridgerton covers, and I know that they're through traditional publishers now, that are aligned to the program, but if you notice, those are using almost contemporary-esque romance covers in terms of you've got a photo of a couple, whereas most of the Regency romances hark back to sort of a more traditional looking kind of illustrated or photo manipulated kind of cover. It's a different vibe, and so that's something to think about, as even modernizing, which sounds the antithesis of what you should be doing as a historical writer, but just trying to think, like,
And so,
Trudy, you're right. And you don't need to do the whole series. Just try the one book in the series.
So what I was going to say to that, because what we're trying to break down is tips to how to harness those nutrients. So what Shah has just done is she's looked at those covers, compared it to current covers or other covers, and said, okay, this is this one thing that's different. And I know that this Bridgerton series with its slightly different covers is popular. How can I do the same thing? So you're not just going, oh, whatever, I'll just write Bridgerton on my cover or whatever. You're actually looking at something. And sometimes it's not.
No, don't do that.
Sometimes it's not obvious. Is what I'm trying to say.
Big trouble for that.
You clearly would. I'm never do that. So, but it's sometimes it's how do we dig in and look at these trends and figure out what it's going to be that we can use, and how do we? Because sometimes it could be like heated rivalry and the ice hockey stuff, and okay, so this is an interesting thing. So why do football and ice hockey work in romance, but not basketball and golf? Like, why are there no, or maybe there's some golf ones, but that's movies that I can think of that are golf ones. Or pickleball. And what is it about those two sports? Well, maybe they're the most popular sports, or they've got the kind of alpha jocks in them that they kind of.
I think that's a big part of it.
Yeah. And if you do
Well,
find
it's like rugby too, same thing.
like or for example, there are some football books out there, but they're often by authors who have a bigger name, and they can kind of the readers will go along for the ride on a football book because they love the author and they're willing to do it. Whereas if you're a newer author, you wouldn't do a football, like a soccer book, is what I'm trying to say, not football, a soccer book for Americans over an American football or a ice hockey book. But if you're looking at Jennifer Lynn Barnes's stuff, it's about the competition, it's about power, it's about rivalry, like all those kinds of things. So if you can't add ice hockey into your book, are there ways that you could add something?
Those,
rivalry
and
Like, what is it about heated rivalry? Well, I mean, just the name, like rivalry, that's, immediately it's going to be I haven't read the book and I haven't seen the movie or the program, obviously, so I don't know, but I'm assuming they're rivals, right? Who end up like enemies to lovers. Like,
I'm not a massive purveyor of ESPN sports, but I've watched enough NHL and NFL to kind of see the alignment between the two, which is very, some would say toxic masculinity in bulk, more ways than one, and actual, clashing. It's like it's sort of reminds me of the sort of the gladiatorial aspect of it, because they're two teams coming together physically, often, attacking each other or preventing each other from, doing the puck or the ball or whatever. I think that's not necessarily present in, hopefully it's not present in tennis or,
but I mean, you think about
so those are quite unique in that.
Basketball is another sport where it is kind of adversarial. I mean, maybe they don't clash physically.
No, I think
like
it's a physical thing, to be honest with you. I really do. I think it comes down to that. It's that gladiator thing. That's my completely unsubstantiated theory on it.
Yeah.
You heard it here.
Yeah.
Shano's but anyway, but it doesn't. It's not necessarily it doesn't matter precisely. But I mean, if you've
it's what's behind that trend, right? That's you're trying to get the essence of that. So
for example, if you do write science fiction romance, if you could somehow incorporate some kind of gladiatorial sport
Yeah.
that your monsters
Yeah.
play into your books, your next
Yeah.
book you
And that,
write.
Why
and
not?
And then, well, I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know. This could be just nothing, but like
or it
just
could be on
something that you
social
could,
media and you say, here's, heated rivalry in space, for example,
yeah,
and you've got these kind of dudes on opposite sides of a giant
But the
Mars
thing is, those
crater.
sort of things have been going on in history for years.
yeah,
So it's
Yes,
not that
exactly.
far outside the realm that
Mm.
you would have it in other
Yeah.
books. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? We just tend
I
to
guess
see it, don't we?
I guess
And
it's like playing it up,
yeah,
in your blurb
Exactly.
and in your covers.
yeah,
That aspect
100%.
that you have in your book that
Yeah.
might,
Yeah,
It's connecting it. It's
yes,
yeah,
not
100%.
connecting the dots.
changing
And
what it
that
is you write,
team
it's connecting
aspect
it.
is huge too.
yes,
Yes.
And like I had a historical series called the Sinclair and Ravens, and whenever I say who's Team Raven, who's Team Sinclair,
Yeah.
instantly get a lot of, oh, well, I'm so and so because of this,
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
like, so
Yeah.
there's that rivalry thing because that's human nature, I guess, to a degree that
Yeah.
we do have I'm
yeah,
a Hawks and I'm a whatever,
yeah,
like that.
Mm-hmm.
You
yeah.
see it
As in
everywhere,
Harry
right?
Gryffindor,
Potter with the
Gryffindor,
Yeah,
Gryffindor.
yeah, no,
which
yeah,
Actually, I'm
actually
Ravenclaw.
100%.
you've just shown us social proof, haven't
Yeah,
you?
Yeah,
Yep.
That those rivalries exist
yeah,
and people love them.
yeah,
Yep.
absolutely.
Yeah,
We all
yeah,
do it. Even if you say you don't, there will be something
yeah. So,
that
so what is?
are for and against,
So
eh?
these are not precisely trends, although you could kind of say they are, but like these are things that you can incorporate into your books that are going to be something that's it's like it's an ongoing thing. It's not just a one-off trend. It's
I
something that's
feel like it's
innate to human.
understanding what's beneath the trend for
Yeah.
that
Yeah,
respect,
Yes.
and then
Yes.
trying to apply that to your own stuff or bring it out
Mm,
more or
yeah,
talk about it maybe in your
mm,
newsletter
mm,
or whatever. And it's just, and it doesn't have to be so blatant. I think it's just an understanding of what it
yeah.
is.
yeah.
And I
like a
think take a step
reverse.
back, like you look at it and go, well, I don't write that, so I can't, that's not me. But I think if you
Mm,
take a step back, like we just have and examine it from a different
Yeah,
angle, well, in
Yeah.
actual fact, you could bring that in.
it's
mm,
Yeah.
doable,
yeah.
and
Yeah,
and why
yeah,
not? If you can, why not?
Yeah. And
exactly.
another point about what Wendy just said was actually talking about other people about that trend and doing it together. Like different minds have
Yeah.
Yeah,
different thoughts about
Yeah.
what it is that's underlying that trend that you could use.
yeah,
Like if you are not in sports romance, you can't precisely magic up a ice hockey romance. Well, then what is
Mm-hmm.
it that you can use as part of that trend? Yeah.
Well, on a
And
slightly easier one to relate to, for example, with Bridgerton, obviously horses feature, right? And you see
there's a lot of
interviews
horse
with
racing.
Jonathan
Yeah,
Bailey talking about his horse that was in Bridgerton. So if I was a historical author, I might be doing social media posts with some horses, talking about the carriages and that kind of thing. So that's sort of,
mm,
yeah,
Or the gowns, or
yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
absolutely.
yeah,
Yeah.
So there's
Jewelry.
ways to take trope trends and draw them into
implement.
your own
Yeah,
writing,
Mm-hmm.
linking them to your book, thinking
yeah.
about what the actual is behind the trend, all those kinds of things work really well. What about if it's not a trope trend, but it's like a social media trend, like TikTok, I feel is a love-hate thing with a lot of people. Like some people
mm,
just dive in there, love it, and do really well, and other people
Yeah.
kind of know they should be doing it, try it, and go in and out. Like what is it? If it's a
I
trend like
think
that,
you
how
have
do
to,
we?
yeah, I think you have to protect yourself a little bit from what works for you. And if you are overcome with too many options, do you know what I'm saying? I think it's important to find one or two and really work hard on those to see if they are going to shift the needle and they are going to help. And if they're not, then get rid of one and bring another one in. But I think that blanket approach is very tiring.
Like
Yeah,
trying to do lots of
definitely.
different social media.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think,
and I also think you have to give each one time.
yes,
It's no good doing, something for a week or even a couple of weeks and saying, well, that didn't work for me,
yeah,
because
Yeah.
maybe you're still learning in the learning
Mm,
phase.
yeah,
And you've also
that's
got
right.
to test on what type of content that you're posting on that when you're doing that,
Mm,
giving it time, but also mixing up what you're doing because it does
mm,
take a while to
mm.
So
figure
there's
that out too.
reels seem to be kicking on at the moment.
but
Yeah.
Like on Instagram for me, reels are killing it,
mm,
and then they come on Facebook as well, and more so than a static post, like
Mm.
they
Are you
really
doing them
do.
on
Matthew.
TikTok too? Those reels? Are you putting?
Yeah, yeah,
Mhm.
just learning to do them in German.
So
And you're
Hilarious.
interesting,
repurposing it, aren't you? So you're not
interesting.
doing a
Hey,
reel for each one, a different reel for
no,
each one. You're
no,
repurposing
and
one
that's the
reel.
thing. find a platform that actually is conducive to sharing your content. You know what I mean? So if you've got Insta and Facebook, for example, then
Yeah, that
you
makes it
know
easy.
both of those are going to go well together.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Mm.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
And
definitely.
another interesting point, so for example, for TikTok, is both. I remember Ruby Dixon, I'm pretty sure, said this, and I think who's the one? Okay, so Lucy Score came on recently, and there've been other ones, and I can't think of the name right this second, but it's someone big, who came on and said they weren't on TikTok at the time that their book blew up on TikTok.
Yes.
So it's not always about the author being on TikTok, it's about the readers being on TikTok. And if the right person picks up your book
Yeah.
and reads it, so that's not necessarily about you, the author, jumping on TikTok. Maybe that's more about you, the author, finding out about the influencers on TikTok and, sending free books or offering, doing whatever that you need to do with the influencers. So you've got to kind of look at it that way as well. Like maybe you
There is a
being
certain
there
amount
isn't
of
the
luck,
right.
right?
Yeah,
Someone
and
There's
maybe
like
it's just
someone
this
to
like,
read your book
organic
and pick it
reach.
up,
Yeah, I also
but you have
think
to be
there's
there
a
to be found quite often,
yeah, and
Mm.
just on the paying influence, I think be careful on that one because there's a lot of people now with like 50 followers and
yeah,
then
So I'm not,
pay me.
so maybe
But
you have to go on the platform as a, not as a poster, but as someone who understands and is
Yeah.
in the groups and is looking around and figuring out the process.
well, even if you don't want
And
to post, I think as an author, you could use it as a kind of a learning situation, like a little bit
Yeah.
of a research tool to see how other authors, particularly the ones that are doing face to camera ones, the ones that are really comfortable doing that, how they're talking about their books, the ones that are making an impact on there, how they're talking about the books, and you can learn from that. You don't have to do it, but you need to understand what it is, how they're connecting with their readers. And if you're not comfortable doing it that way, then maybe you can apply some of that, some of that trend face to camera to how you make your reels, for example, or how you talk to them in your newsletter.
or even
You can still
I
do
would
it.
say more so than looking at other authors doing it, you could look at the readers, like the people who
Yes,
are really
the
popular
big ones.
influencers
Yeah,
who and how
yeah,
they talk about the books that
yeah.
they love and what it is,
Yes.
because some of them will say the five best tropes, or some of them talk about the five worst tropes or whatever, and you can be getting information about
Yeah.
and then look in the comments and see whether people are agreeing with them. I don't know, like there might be
Yeah.
ways to gather information there if we're
Yeah.
gathering information. That's a good way
Yeah.
to find out the
Yeah.
popular tropes, maybe. I mean,
It is just researching what the trending hashtags are, can help
But
identify that.
but I think to say that you don't want to be on social media, you actually have to choose something. People have to be able to find you.
I
If they
think,
read your book and go, "Oh, I'm going to check out where she is," she's
yeah,
I mean, if you
she's,
had an amazing powerful newsletter list
yeah,
with
for sure.
yeah,
500,000 people on it, maybe you
Yeah.
don't have to be on social
Exactly.
media.
You
But
could
I
talk
think
to
you
them
need to
every week. Yeah.
have something that's a discoverability tool somewhere.
And people
And I think when
like
you're
that
starting
connection.
out, it's a really good idea to choose maybe half a dozen Facebook pages of authors in your genre and see what they're doing, because often, they're posting about, what's worked for them, even if they're not using those words,
Yeah,
they're,
100%.
oh, my book's now here, or somebody just put this here, or I'm on this blog, or,
yeah,
just to give you ideas, just to give you a
yes,
list of what are possibilities for you, what you think
Mm,
you can cope with, and how you can manage it.
yeah,
So,
absolutely. And also you can see what ads they're running through that page as well. So
yes,
Yeah.
that's
yes.
helpful too.
Through
mm.
Ads Manager, you can check on anybody what their current ads are and who they're actually um, uh, not tagging. What's the word I'm looking for?
Targeting.
The audiences are.
Mm.
Mm.
Yeah.
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 So that's a good tip too.
Mm.
So one thing is, so how do we find what's the next trend, or how do we figure out what's happening? And Wendy, you were just talking about, is it the
Oh,
content team pages on Instagram? And then you
yes.
talked about where you found out about that. So can you talk about that a
So
little?
yeah, I mean, I have only a select few Facebook pages I follow because I find otherwise you can spend too much time. And ultimately I do want to get some writing done in a day. Um, so I think it's quite good to go into environments that suit you. So for me, I have Melanie Harlot's Authors.
So that's an
I
author group for other authors rather than
That's
just
right.
the
Yeah.
author's author page. So that's a
So
different.
that's great content. It suits me. I can go and ask a question. There's there's a few other ones I'm sure you guys will comment, but like I have two or three, and if I've got something going on and I'm not sure the next step to take or whether I should jump on this or follow it, I'll go in and I'll search in there and I'll go, or I'll ask a question and I'll go, and more often than not, there's some authors in there who are quite well known and quite experienced, and they'll go, oh, rah, rah, rah. Or the content's already there because the group's been going for so long, and you can search the content and it'll come up with 3 or 4 posts, and you go, oh, great, I'll read those. That's given me the answer I need. I don't think there is any better way to learn than by someone who's doing it well and doing it right. I could read as much as I wanted. I could go down rabbit holes and learn a whole lot of stuff through books and courses. And I'm not saying that's not a good idea, but that's not how I learn. So if I can go into a group with another author who's got the proof or has been trying it,
And I
that
think
suits me.
that's a really
That
good
suits
point.
me.
It's like Melanie Harlow,
Yeah.
for example, is an experienced author.
Exactly.
She knows what she's doing, and she's someone who
Yeah.
also is interested in looking for new trends and things going on.
Yeah.
You've just got to watch that you're not in a group with a whole bunch of people who are going, oh, there's nothing's working and this is crap and it's a
Sucks.
disaster,
Yeah.
because
Yeah, and
it's not going to
occasionally
help
that
you.
happens. But everyone has a bad day, and that's fine. And we can acknowledge that, bin it, and move on. But
Yeah.
being in a group that's positive
Mm.
is your
Yeah.
best key.
Yeah.
They,
And that's all I'm saying. It's like if it's an echo
yeah,
chamber for
100%.
people saying
Yeah,
how it's not working for anyone,
yeah.
that's actually not helpful.
No, because it's
So
not
just
going to give
find
you
somewhere
the
that it's,
resources to,
yeah.
I
exactly
think
right.
too, just using so I agree totally. I think limiting your groups, but just as a counter on the echo chamber, because every group, we the four of us probably become an echo, it's just human nature, right? No matter what, believe me, you should see my dahlia groups, just saying. But anyhow, the just actually searching on Facebook, if you look at group, there's new ones coming up. So I'm in a
Yeah.
few of the InstaLove, which is a short, and particularly for short romance writers, and there's some really good, and they're not big. But until you search for them, there might be collaboration groups and
Yeah.
that kind of thing. So, maybe once a month or so, if you're thinking, actually, I'd like a few different opinions, maybe searching on Facebook just for a writing group, not and you'll soon tell on who the admins are, whether they're an established author in that particular,
Yeah,
in
because I
your
think you've got to
genre.
be cautious with that, like who
You've
you're
got to be,
making sure that it's
I
someone
would
who,
say somewhere, go to a general self-publishing advice group is honestly a nightmare. Like KDP publishers, whatever, when you go on Facebook and it's got 300 million people that
Talk
are,
about rabbit holes.
oh,
Yeah.
it's
Run
just
very fast.
run away. So I actually think niching down on what you're looking for can actually really help.
Because there usually is an answer to every question. Someone's come
Well,
across
there's
it for
and the thing
opinions
you,
to
is,
every
yeah,
question. Whether the
yeah.
answer is right for you is
Yeah,
another thing. But there's
but you'll probably
opinion.
find the right answer, right?
well, the answer you
somewhere.
need. But I think
Yeah.
that's the thing that we have to really iterate or focus on here, is that you have to be finding what's going to work for you. And we've had enough guests on the podcast that we know that one thing will work for one person and it won't necessarily be the thing for you.
100.
Yep.
And you've got to figure out what you're, like if you're someone who's not good on video, probably don't go on TikTok, do
Yeah.
face videos, and if you're someone who's, I don't know, I'm just trying to think, but like find what you're good at or what's going to be something that
And
you
what
can
you
actually
really
do.
enjoy as well, that you
Yeah.
can
Yeah.
repeat consistently, whether it's
Yeah.
writing a particular trope, whether it's on social media. Do that. Like, if you don't like writing sex scenes, there's no point in thinking, okay, spicy, really spicy dark romances thing. If you don't like doing that, it's not gonna work. It just isn't. So
You might be able to
Be
do it for a
authentic.
few books, but you'll burn out 100 times faster if you're doing something you don't like. And
I
And
think
I'd also like to say, don't
Sue.
make promises in your blurb or on your cover that you're not delivering in your book.
yes,
That's the
bait and
fastest way to
switch.
turn people off.
Yeah,
Mm.
100%.
100%. I thought authenticity is still massive, right?
Yeah, so don't tell them that
Yeah.
you're going to get a heated rivalry-esque,
Yeah.
hockey
Yeah.
romance when it's a
It's only enemies
sci-fi
to lovers. Yeah.
romance
Yes.
with
Opposites attract or something. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
Or
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
a sweet
yeah.
romance and you've got erotica up the wazoo inside.
yeah,
Yeah.
The worst.
Sort of
Don't do
rephrase
that.
that better, but
Don't do it.
Basically up the wazoo.
sorry about
I mean,
that.
that sounds like there's a
Yeah.
monster romance, the wazoo thing. I don't know.
Yeah.
So we've
I
talked
also
about,
think, sorry, just going back to just about the groups thing too, though, is just be mindful as well. In a lot of those groups, there's some people that say things with their whole chest without a lot to back up. And very often it's the quieter ones in the group that actually have the experience in it or the knowledge. Just kind of don't take things at immediate face value, I would say, is just and
and that is why I would suggest if there's some way for you to test stuff out yourself, then
that
do
will
it.
be your secret power, is the ability to do that, is to
Mm.
take something and not take things at face value and actually test things.
Mm.
And you can do that in a way that is cost effective. But I think that will then, it will give you more information than it will be somebody blanket saying, hey, you should, do XYZ or write XYZ, and this is
Mm.
guaranteed. Can I just say, I've said this many times, nobody has all the answers. Nobody has the one thing. There is no secret that you have to pay tens of thousands of dollars to unlock in this, no matter what it is. And any of these uber expensive courses around, what people are paying for is the time saving in order to bring those resources together, because you can find everything for free online, the information. We have put 10 years into this podcast. If you want a masterclass in self-publishing, listen to every episode of this podcast.
Maybe not the first few.
Maybe
Yeah.
not the first.
Skip the first 100. Go
Maybe
after
just
that.
No, there was
start
actually
at
very good things.
51. Yeah.
But what I'm
yeah.
saying is, just be mindful, because I'm seeing more and more kind of dubious promises of people having the secret sauce, and there is no such thing as a secret sauce. The
No.
secret sauce is people applying the right things in the right way and doing what resonates with them well.
And sometimes it's just an accident when people I was.
How many authors have we had on that have said exactly that? They've had this amazingly successful series and they try and do exactly the same thing. This is the same person. And they're like, I don't know.
Cricket's
I
in the
don't
next
know.
one.
Yeah.
Why was that one? My favorite series is this one over here, but this one over here is the one that was actually the most successful and
Yeah.
does
Like
the
I love
best.
this cover the best. This is the one that I really love, and no one likes it, but everyone loves that one that I hate.
Yeah. So
It's
sometimes it just doesn't make any sense. And I was oh God, I had something genius to say about.
Oh my God, it was so good you forgot it.
I know it was so
Hate when
good.
that happens.
It'll come
I'm
back to you.
sad that you're
It'll
going
come
to
back to you.
not miss out on
Oh,
this
well, listen, we'll
revelatory
talk
piece of
amongst
information.
ourselves for a couple of
No,
minutes.
okay.
Well,
It
I
was
think we've ascertained already that there's a lot of ways to come at a trend. It's not always what you think it will be, and you have to do your due diligence and
You do.
100%.
look into it as deeply as you need to make a decision which way you're going to go.
And don't have somebody else tell you what way you should go. I think it's you can gather
Unless you
advice
trust
from
them
people.
implicitly.
Yeah, but even then, I think you've got to really do something that feels right for you. It might be
So when you
scary.
guys tell me what to do, if I trust you, I got to ignore it.
Wendy, first of all, we've never told you what to do.
We
Second of all,
we would never tell you what to do, Wendy.
No,
I don't even
Give
know
up.
what to say to that, Wendy.
Nada, don't say anything, Cher.
No, I think you've got to be, I've got to think you've got to kind of just do what's right for you as well, and what
and
resonates.
experienced people usually have a lot of knowledge. I mean, the thing is with us four, we've been around a long time. We've seen a lot, and we've done a lot, and we've tried a lot.
We've seen a lot.
So we know what we're talking about. About a lot of stuff.
I rememred what I was going to say, so I'm going to
change
topic back to me.
So go.
So we had Alessandra Torre on recently, and she mentioned a book called The bestseller code, I think it
Code.
was. And so because
Yeah.
I'm like that, I immediately picked up the book, discovered that I had it in my Kindle and for like since
What a
2019
surprise.
and just hadn't read it.
Yeah, what a surprise.
I know, right? What a surprise. And started reading it, and it's from 2015, right? And it was really, I mean, it's and it's also based on I think it's like the New York Times bestseller list is what they're talking about, which is
Yeah.
often trad pub hardcover
Yes.
books that
Well, it
are
is
on that
now,
one.
yeah.
So it's not immediately. I started reading and I was like, oh, this isn't really relevant and rah, rah. And I kept going and it was one of the things, and it becomes more relevant, and it does get information that's actually quite interesting and useful later on, so that's cool. But one of the things I noted is that they were saying fantasy doesn't sell. Fantasy is one of the
Oh,
ones that's, like maybe
yeah.
one
Back
book in the
then,
top 10, or the
Yeah.
top 100, whatever, and it was like J.R. Tolkien or something like that, or
why hasn't
like
that
it wasn't.
changed?
And yeah, and now it's all about like
Now,
romantasy. So it's things come and go is kind of what
Prime
I'm
They
saying.
example of
do.
what trend
And you
is.
might have written a fantasy novel back in 2015 that didn't sell back then, and maybe you've noticed now that it's a sudden resurgence and it's doing really well because there's all these readers out there who are now willing to give it a go,
Yep.
Yeah. But
because
that's
of
where I would be
Rebecca Yarros.
re-editing and recovering and
recovering.
reblurbing that,
Yep.
because cover trends do change. And I think
Mm,
it's really important. And I know it can be an
100%.
expensive prospect, but it
Yeah.
is important because,
it's a
Yeah, I
marketing
think you
tool.
always have to look at your backlist to see what you can do with it now.
Mm,
Like the trends change, they ebb and flow. Maybe they never go away, some of them, but they definitely ebb and flow to a certain extent. And if you can do that, change the cover, re-edit the book, or uplift the blurb and put it up there again, using more keywords that are relevant to the books that are in that trend at that time, I think that's a bit of a winner right there.
mm,
And it didn't
yeah,
take you much,
mm,
because you
yeah,
had the product
yeah,
already.
yeah. Like it's
exactly.
not change the blurb to match the trope or what's trending. Don't
Sure.
lie about it and don't try and
Yeah.
insert
No,
things
no,
that aren't
no. But
there.
I'm just saying the structure of blurbs that has changed as well.
Mm,
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah.
That
Oh,
even just
yeah.
that the length of them, how much people are seeing when they're looking at, for example,
Yeah.
Amazon on their phone. They're only seeing that first line of the blurb, which is even more important now.
Yeah.
You
Tropey and
see,
I
yeah.
very rarely read the blurb. Like what I'm getting now is I'll see, like, this is terrible, but I'm assuming that this is what people are doing as well. I'll see something on TikTok or Insta recommended by an influencer, and they'll describe it. They describe it in their words of what
hmm
it's like. It's, oh, he stalks her and then he turns into a dragon and then I don't know, whatever. But like, and I'm like, oh, okay. And I won't even read the blurb. I go and just buy that book. Like, it's funny
And
how
very
blurbs used
often
to
the blurb
weigh.
says nothing about what they just said.
So I almost think
Yeah.
that we get to a point, you heard it here, where the blurbs are going to be similar to the kind of things that
I
are
like the one-liners,
influencer.
like, yeah, enemies to lovers, da 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 da. That does me, and I'll just read that when I go and I go, yeah, that's me, enemies to
Yeah.
lovers, instantly, bomb.
Like the one I
Mhm.
listened to, I love the way she says it. She's like, and you kind of, she just almost says nothing, but she's saying all the tropes. Like she'd be like,
Yeah.
and it's not always, but the one, and the stalking thing comes to mind. It's like she stalks him and she turns up in his bedroom. And we all know, like
What's going
she
to
doesn't
happen
even
next?
tell
Yeah,
you the story or
yeah.
the plot. It's all about you, and it's
Yeah.
about you kind of as a reader of that genre, you know immediately what's gonna, what that means when this thing happens and that thing happens, like I
So you've
think,
Well,
just
we
identified a trend there, which I
yeah,
think I've seen to death, and I'm really tired of seeing them, which is where you've got a social media image, you've got all these little arrows and all the little coming off
Yeah.
the central character. I mean, done to death. But why is it done to death? Because it's word.
yeah,
mm,
Exactly.
And
Exactly.
I think what we are seeing now, then we weren't talking about this 5 years ago in terms
no,
of being that upfront with tropes. We were
Mm.
talking about maybe in the thing, but sort of mentioning them in the blurbs. But now it's like,
In
as
your
the
Wendy
readers
face.
said,
will know.
it's in that first
well,
line.
our attention
You know,
span, right? It's not what it was.
Yes.
We scroll, bomb, bomb,
Yes,
bomb, bomb. So what do we want to do?
yeah,
We
for
want to
sure.
get taken straight away, right?
Yeah.
I'll
yeah.
have that. That
Yeah.
So
really
you
makes
can't be
sense.
subtle anymore. I
No,
think
I
blurbs
don't,
No,
and
in,
I
and
in
don't think
subtle
general are
as Yeah.
Readers
Subtle as a
didn't
snake.
read as a reader, I wouldn't have known the tropes before I became an
No.
author, but now all the readers know the tropes. Like
Correct.
it
Yes.
is,
Yeah.
and they know what's expected of those tropes. And they know
Mhm.
what a certain thing, like they know what enemies to lovers means. And if you
Yeah.
say that it's enemies to lovers and they're actually friends in the beginning and they're not really that enemies, but you're just trying to
And you'll
poke
be
it in
like,
there to, they
yeah.
know,
Yeah.
and they're not going to read
Yeah.
like your book and they're going to not trust you from, like they,
Readers
yeah.
are they know what they want.
Do you know
Yeah.
what
They're very
comes to
educated on
mind?
what they want.
Yeah, it's the buttery stuff that Theodora Taylor talks about.
Mhm.
And it's also those kinds of scenes. So it's like um those scenes that give you the thrill, right? Those
Yeah.
scenes that the visceral experience of why most
Mm.
people, like often they're talking about now, like this book crushed me or this book
Yeah.
like
Yes.
gutted
Broke
me.
me. I'm
Yeah.
broken.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it broke me. And I'm like, why would you want to be broken? Like, I don't understand that. But that's what they want, right? Like
Maximum
that,
effect.
apparently.
this
But
is what
that's
they're,
maximum effect, isn't it? It's the
yeah.
way we're talking, it's the way we're doing, it's the way we are,
So if
We're
you had a
just different
blurb
now.
that was like the first line is a reader comment, this book broke me and into a
Mhm.
million different pieces, and the sequel put me back together again, or something like that, then you
Brilliant.
might
Yeah.
get more people
Yeah.
buying your book than a
Truly,
he
that's
met
bloody
her
awesome,
in
mate.
It
You need to
is.
stick a few grand price tag on that.
Yeah.
but this is the kind of thing that you've
Mhm.
got to be looking out for and seeing what's
Mm.
happening and looking to the future and seeing what might come out of it. I
Yeah.
don't know.
I think
Yeah.
one of the benefits, and I think I probably lay this at TikToks, I think people are talking more about, it feels like anyway, than,
Mm.
and again, we've been around, quite a long time in this
I wish
romance
you would stop
community.
saying that. It makes me feel ancient, and we are very young and
We are
Yeah, we
young.
are young.
vital people.
Can you tell?
However, having been in the
Go back and
romance
look at the
industry
first
for
podcast.
20 something years, I think it's been more talked about now in social media. You see, the heated rivalry, the Bridgerton of things is bringing it more into the mainstream. And so it's not so, I think it's kind of more out there now in terms of, like you say, there's a language for romance readers now, particularly
Colleen
that's being
Hoover.
used.
That's the other thing. And I mean, this is a really interesting point you're just making. Is it actually like for
Well
a while
done,
their
Sha.
books were just the nerdy readers, right? That no one really, you just went slunk
Mm-hmm.
away into your bedroom and read by yourself. Whereas now it's like everyone's on the Bridgerton train or everyone's on the
Mm-hmm.
have you read heated rivalry? Oh, I better go read that or whatever. Like there's Colleen Hoover, like her hanging out with the chick who was in the main movie of the thing, whatever her name is, that's married to Ryan Reynolds. What's her
Yeah.
name? I
Blake
mean,
Lively.
Blake Lively.
Blake
Yeah.
Lively and all that kind of stuff. Like that's all suddenly Colleen
Mm-hmm.
Hoover is out there as a
Yeah.
personality rather than just being, and
Mm.
her books become a trend in itself rather
Yeah.
than, so there's social media and books being made into movies and Netflix
I think
series and
there's
all those kinds of
definitely more
things.
just visibility in general,
Mm.
Yes.
which I think also is the downside of that, of course, it feels like just an overwhelm, whether it's to readers or to writers, So I think the trend is now to speak more directly about it. It's no longer your sort of, let's put a discreet cover on it so the person on the train doesn't realize I'm reading a romance. Now you've got literal hockey podcasts with dudes watching heated rivalry. I mean, man, that would have
I
blown my
think,
socks off 10 years ago, that
but I think
happening.
embrace and enjoy. Don't get overwhelmed by it. Just little steps.
And
Yeah.
and
You're
the
you. You
trends,
don't
and
know when
pick
the
what
next
you
big
like,
thing's.
right? You
Yeah,
got
but
to enjoy
yeah.
it.
If you're starting out in this game, just enjoy it.
Yeah,
Don't get
I agree.
overwhelmed by it. Just enjoy it. Get on a couple of social media things, do a bit of this, do a bit of that. Write your book, get it up there. Who
Do you know
knows?
what
You could be the next Colleen Hoover.
I
Yeah.
was who was I thinking this about? Oh yeah, no, I know what it was. Anyway, but one of the big things has been genuine, I
Yeah.
think.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Like I know we kind of
Andy.
pen names
Under.
and these things happening in the author world, but I think in the days of like where there's so much stuff being thrown at readers and what they're choosing to do is go towards the things like, oh, it's a Bridgerton. I know and understand Bridgerton, so I'm going to read the Bridgerton books. But if you can be someone who's genuine and you want to make genuine connections, someone like Lucy Score makes genuine connections to your readers and is genuinely
Yeah.
excited to kind of talk to them about your books and is putting yourself out there in a genuine way, I feel like you'll
Yeah.
go a lot further. And if you can, I don't know, I think it would be really funny, and this is another idea for someone out there listening, is if you are, for example, a historical romance author, Wendy, wouldn't it be funny if you sat on TikTok and did a series of TikToks about how your historical romance was just like Heated Rivalry, or, like
Hmm.
you could just be silly with it, like have some funny things happening, or how my space monsters would translate into Bridgerton. So if this
Yeah.
character was in Bridgerton, they'd
Yeah.
be the one writing the secret
Love it.
Sounds
diaries,
like a bit
or
of cosplay going on there.
yeah,
Yeah,
maybe
exactly.
dress up in your characters, and
So if
I
they
don't know,
can
Yeah.
make
just be
that Wuthering
And your
Heights movie
crinoline.
and put it in exactly.
yeah. So there's ways to just have fun with it and move it around. I don't know, be funny,
Yeah,
but or do
very
it. And
good.
if you're not a funny person, don't try that. But just do something that's
Yeah. And on that note, just be authentic and positive to yourself.
yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah,
yeah.
that's the
Cool.
key. And they'll see through that. Awesome. That
And
was
even
great.
more so, even more important is to come join us in our Spa Girls
Mm.
Mastermind Facebook group for the modest price of $10 per month through our Patreon at Spa Girls Podcast. And we can talk about all this kind of stuff, which we do,
Mm,
if you're enjoying
sounds
it.
good.
Ask you questions directly of the
Ask
Spa
your
Girls.
questions.
I
We're
will
always happy to give
brainstorm on
feedback.
your behalf.
Yeah, Trudy's very,
I'll
very,
give you
very.
bad
She will.
ideas for random stuff.
We'll also give you good critiques if you want anything, if you want to talk about covers, if you
Covers,
want some
blurbs.
ideas
Blurbs
on
or
how
whatever.
to sort of maybe change things up a little bit. Sometimes, four heads are better than one, or five
Mhm.
heads are better than one.
Yeah. So come
Cool.
join us. And where can we be found?
At spargirlspodcast.com and on Patreon at Spargirls Podcast. And thank you to everybody that's subscribing on YouTube. We are
Are we at
over
4,000 yet?
3,900 and something. So
Oh my goodness.
What?
by the time this comes out, we might be there.
Oh my goodness.
Awesome.
You just raised your hand, Wendy. Thanks for that. But no,
No
you
worries.
can't
I've
talk
lowered it
now.
again.
Okay,
No, I
that's
don't want
good.
to talk. I was just going hallelujah.
Good
Ah,
work.
Mm.
So thank you to everyone to listening to another episode of the Spa Girls podcast. I hope you got something out of our chat today on trends, how to get one, how to use them, how to figure out if it's right for
how
you,
to create one.
how
We
to
haven't
create
covered
one.
that. That could be a
No,
whole nother issue.
that's for another podcast. Yeah.
I think that trend about sci-fi romance authors talking about how
Yes,
they
yes, yes.
could
All
be in
right, all
Bridgerton.
right.
I'm
Righto.
just
All right.
saying that could be a
Yeah.
thing.
You heard it here
Okay.
first.
You heard it here
Okay.
first. Awesome. All right. Well, thank you all for joining us for another episode. We'll see you
See you
again next
later.
week. But for now, bye.
Bye.
Keep well.
Bye.